Hello, this is Katie and welcome back to my channel. I am going to be doing a voiceover. This video, the recording ended up being about half an hour, so I sped it up, but hopefully I don't go too fast and you can see all the marker colors that I show you into the camera. But I'm going to be using the Life is Good set by Fawn. I saw some ideas on Pinterest and I was feeling very springy and summery today, and we're just having really nice weather. So I am going to enjoy it through a card. And this is for day 5 of a video every day in May. And so what I'm doing is I have just a craft cardstock base layer. I have a piece, or I have a folded card already. It's going to be covered up, so I think it's like a grayish color. I have a base layer that is card sized of the craft, and then this blue. This is one of the Spiffy Speckles colors from the Fawn 6x6 paper pad of Spiffy Speckles. It's the more teal blue color rather than the blue. I think it looked better for water. It's going to be the ocean. And then I have this paper from a set from Recollections. I believe it's called Tropic Vacation. I show you that later. I don't think I show you that right now, but I do show you the 2 paper pads I got those from. So that's going to be kind of like my sunset because I have seen the sky that color. So to me, it's realistic. So that's going to be the sky and then the water and the sand. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm cutting the sand using the stitched hillside borders from Fawn. I got those for Christmas. And so I don't think I've used them yet. So I do the sand portion. And then what I show you is that I'm going to set... I may not be showing you this, but I'm setting the sand portion on top of the blue to find out where I want to use the hillside border because I don't have the wave border dies. I really want them. I will buy them whenever I find them for a good price. But I think what happened was I flipped the die, and so it didn't put the stitches in it. And so you're going to see how I improvise, and I do pause here a couple times because I didn't want you to have to see what I was doing to fix it or sorting it out. So I have that one. I fixed that part. And I said, 1 second, I was going to pause. And then I'm just going to kind of tuck in the next one behind the other one. You're not really going to be able to tell or see it on the card. So I managed to fix that. But if you are using those dies, just be aware that obviously there's a line side and a stitch side, and I was not paying attention and I just put it down and I didn't get the stitches where I wanted them. So what I'm doing now is I'm using, oh my God, I didn't even read that. Espresso? Ground espresso? Nope, I don't know. Sorry about that. The dark brown distress ink, just regular distress ink, the little cube, and then some white acrylic paint, and I am mixing those both with water, and I have 2 separate paint brushes. The brown, it comes off finer in like a finer mist than I expected, but it turned out okay because this is just supposed to be sand. I didn't want to have just craft. I wanted to dress it up a little bit to give a lot of interest to the card. I've been thinking of a lot of small details lately on my cards. And then with my white, obviously I have like a splatter and a big old blob, but I don't care. I still liked how it looked. So the white ones are a little bigger and they're kind of spraying. I could have thinned it out a little bit. But I think it's a pretty good sand. And then I grab my heat gun and heat that up for a second. And then I dry this so that I can, because I'm going to be sticking it down soon. So I want that fully dry. And when I do flip it over to put adhesive on the back, I kind of flatten that white blob. But I think it gets covered up by one of the images anyway. So I'm going to just stick these together with my tape runner just so they're together. And then I'll be using tape runner all over the back to stick it down to the my sunset base, card base. So I'm just putting adhesive. Sorry for all the zooming in and out. It does autofocus, which I do want it to do for like when I show you marker colors and stuff. The numbers of the markers that I'm using. I'll put my hand behind it like I'm in a makeup tutorial video and I'm trying to show you a product so that it focuses. So I do appreciate the autofocus, but I can't make it, not do that for certain things. So I'm sticking down the sand to the water. And then what I think I do is I had mounted up on a clear stamp block. I'm sticking down the whole base to my card base, my folded card. I had mounted up the waves, the ocean waves from this set. I think there's two lengths, maybe, but I had the ocean waves on a block, but I just decided, I think this is where I look at it. I'm not sure. No, I'm going to do the palm tree now. But later on, you'll see that I don't add any waves into the ocean. I even thought about using like a light blue ink, but it just didn't fit. And I think it looked good. No, that's not a word. I thought it looked good just the way it was. It didn't need waves. So I'm just cutting out the palm tree from the die set that comes with the palm trees and the crab and the coconuts and stuff like that out of dark brown and green from my Sidekick, just because it's easier. I put down this green American Crafts mat. The light keeps changing on it. This is where I'm looking at the waves and deciding that's a no-go. My teal craft mat, because the background, I'm showing you the paper pad here. So that's the 6x6 I got from Michael's. I fell in love with that. I think I bought 2 of them. And so that's my sunset. And then the Spiffy Speckles teal. It looks kind of blue, but it is the teal one for my water. So I'm going to start coloring here, and hopefully I show you the marker colors. If I didn't show you before I started coloring, I show you halfway through coloring what the marker number is. So I'm just going to do a lot of coloring here, but I completely forgot what I was saying before. Anyway, so I cut out the what did I forgot. Anyway, so for this stamp set, for a lot of older Lawn Fawn stamp sets, I don't have the dies, so I need to go through and figure out which sets that I really think I'll use a lot more in the future, and go and buy the dies for them before they retire or something scary like that. I want to make sure I have it all. I did fussy cut all of these images. I tried to do my best. I'm fairly good at fussy cutting, but I just prefer the look of the dies. So I tried to fussy cut with the white border. I didn't show you that I was using E33. So then I showed you there. And they turned out okay. It hurts my hand to fussy cut a lot. And so the dies just make it a lot easier. But I also don't like the look of a Brother Scannon cut. If you don't know what that is by now, it's a machine that can scan your stamped images and then cut like a little bubble around them. But I don't like the way it looks. I prefer dies. It's similar to fussy cutting. The Brother Scannon cut is similar to kind of a sharp edge fussy cut, and I just prefer the softness of the dies that come with the set. So I think I showed you the lightest color I was using, E53. So I'm on my Copic blending. I don't know if you are, for those who are watching, or you individually, if you have Copics, or if you're comfortable with Copics, or you're learning your blending. I've been trying to get myself to branch out a little bit in the markers that I have. I've been using a darker marker, like a 4th darker marker, to do these dots on things, just because I like the way they look and I think they're cute. But for the 3 colors that I used on the sandcastle, I've been trying to get myself to use like the first 2 colors, but then branch out to a very light color that I wouldn't have picked up in the past. This crab is another example. I have R29, and then I have another red. It might be R27. You'll see in a second here. R35. This is where I had myself branch out like this too. So I have R35, and normally R35 would have been my lightest color in a blend of 3. But after this R35, I probably should have treated that crab like a sphere, but that's okay. I go into R43, which I probably would have never done, but it's just to the right of these reds on my hex chart from Sandy Allnock. And so I'm getting myself to kind of move to the right one space when I'm doing my blending, or grab that lighter color. Just like if you're doing plants or leaves or something and you're doing greens, to get a yellow as your lightest color, because it actually works in that blend. And it really makes things look bright. So if that makes sense, hopefully, if it doesn't, feel free to ask me any questions down below. But normally in the past, I probably for this crab would have used maybe R39, which is a red a little bit lighter than the one I just used, R39, R27, and then R35 instead of R27, R35, and then like a pink, if that makes sense. So I'm working on kind of incorporating also markers I don't use that often, but making that third color the lightest of something I would normally use. So then on these shells, and I totally forgot to color the silver dollar. I had it stamped out and I set off to the right with some grays, and I didn't do it. But then I colored it and I tried to set it on the card after I was done with this video, and there just wasn't a spot for it. So it worked out in the end. And then for these ones, I haven't used this pink yet, so I was very excited to use that. That was RV17. I showed you after the fact. And then, so these, towards the end of the card when I was building it, which you might see that part, I do pause because I haven't tested my my video filming. My old phone used to stop at like 30 minutes and some sort of seconds. And I don't know how much, it's like a matter of space, like how large of a file. It can only get so big and then it stops and it starts splitting your video into several files. And I don't want it to do that. And so I do a couple pauses towards the end because I'm getting very close to like 31, 32 minutes. And I think I made it to 33. But anyway, I've Googled that to no end, and that's just a thing. The phone just can't handle filming longer than that. So I cut down the video so that you guys don't have to watch a 32-minute video, or 33. So here I am coloring in the coconuts, and they're so small. I've already cut them out, so I have to hold them down to color them with my tweezers. But about the flip-flops, I didn't think I wanted to use them just because they were so pink and they stood out way too much on the card. And I didn't think there was really a spot for them on the card, but I ended up liking my layout and where I put it. So I took my E29, which is one of my favorite dark browns. I use it for hair and things like that, to do some dots on the coconuts. And I think that was the last thing I colored. So I'm going to zoom out for you. Once I remember to zoom out. I'm using my safety pin to unclog my glue, which is a constant problem, but I'm over it because I'll just never have a glue that doesn't clog. I'm convinced. And now I am doing the palm tree. So I'm just sticking it down. I didn't want to lift this up on foam tape or anything like that, so the palm tree probably isn't super centered. I tried to center it and it's off the card just a teeny tiny bit. But I know I wanted to add the white accents to it just because it kind of completes the tree. So I do a few of those. I think if I drank, I would probably voice over these videos drunk. I think that would be quite entertaining for you. Unfortunately, I just don't like alcohol, but also it just makes me sleepy, so I probably just wouldn't, I'd fall asleep. But I think that would be kind of fun. Maybe someday you guys can talk me into drunk voiceovers. I decided that that coconut was not going to stick with glue because it was now officially like 3 pieces of paper up off of the base. So I found, I cut down a piece of foam tape just to a tiny little square. And then I think I pause here because I could not sort that out. I couldn't get it off because I'd already put glue on the back of it. So I lifted a bit of it up on foam tape so that it would stick and have a little bit of dimension. And then I add foam tape to some of the rest of the images. I think the sandcastle and the crab. And then the others I just stick down to the sand with glue, the sand layer. I think I paused. I was worried I was running out of time. So I paused and I stuck up the crab on foam tape, and then I just stuck down the shells and the shoes. The shoes are overlapped a little bit on purpose, and also they fit better that way. With glue, and then I'm just adding my white accents to God knows where, just wherever. On the peach shell, that's my favorite part of adding accents, is actually going over the black lines. That's where it looks the most convincing to me, where it looks like it's got glossy accents on it. There's so many people who do that. And I have to stare at the card for like a while to figure out if it's glossy accents or if they just drew with a white pen. The first thing I was stamping was the sentiment, the life is good sentiment that I'm about to trim. It was just out of the shot. I'm sorry about that. And then I added a few birds, and I end up adding a couple more birds, or one more bird. But I trimmed the end at the end of good. And then I did my banner punch with my square 1-inch punch to make a quick banner flag. And then I put that up on foam tape. And then I decided that there weren't enough birds, and I think I just added one more little bird. So that is it. And this video is almost over. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.